Hello and welcome to my review of Man on the Inside, a Netflix comedy. Although I think the term comedy for this show is very loosely used, but sure, it says comedy, we'll call it a comedy. So what this show is about is that Ted Danson, he's this well, as obviously old, he's a retired guy, doesn't have much to do, and he's like looking for something to do in life, and it turns out, oh, there's this case that they need in an old people's home. He has to sort of like go infiltrate as a like a person who's looking to go there, but he's actually a detective. And that's kind of the story. And he goes there to look for this missing necklace. I believe it's a missing necklace, or was it a ring? Something like that. It's a stolen necklace, and that's it. And along the way, you can sort of see how he interacts with the people there, how he sort of works with his family, and sort of in his coworker Julie. And yeah, I believe it's 8 episodes show. So there's quite a lot to like in this one. First, I think that Ted Danson's amazing. He really carries the show. He's kind of in almost every scene because he's the main character. Even though there's a few listed as main characters, he really is the main character. Every plot line goes back to him, and he's great in it all. So I like it. If you like Ted Danson, there's a lot to like here because there's a lot of him to see. I enjoyed the supporting cast. They're mostly women, which I like that. You know, you get to see Ted interact with all of them. There's his daughter Emily, and there's a bit of like friction there that try to work through. There's Julie Investigator. She's kind of cool as well. And then we have the director of the old people's home, which is I believe she's from Brooklyn Nine-Nine, something Beatrice, Stephanie Beatrice, I think. I liked her too, even though I didn't feel she was as involved. But you know, she has her own story. Speaking of that, it's not just like one story. Even though we talk about the plot of the mystery of who stole the necklace, it's a bunch of other things are happening. There's like a romance. There's a friendship between Ted and another older gentleman there. There is his relationship with his daughter. So there's a lot there. You know, there's a lot of plots going on, and some are about love. Are about like forgiving other people. Some are about moving on because there is a bit of death in this one, but both death in the past and in the show as you watch it. People, you know, it's old people. You know, it happens in shows like these, and there's a lot of themes about that, death and moving on and things like that. It's nice. It's a good thing. I did say this is not a comedy, but every episode has like one or two moments that'll probably make you laugh, but it's not. I mean, I'm surprised when I was reading this and I downloaded this picture put behind me, the one that it says Netflix comedy. I was like, comedy? I would not call this a comedy. It's not as funny, nor does it try to be as funny as something like The Good Place or The Office or Parks and Recreation. There is humor, but it's not meant to be a funny show most of the time. What it does have is like a lot of like heart and empathy and like heartwarming feelings of sweetness. I like that. But comedy, it's funny when it wants to be, but doesn't want to be most of the time. And last thing I liked was the overall mystery, the case that they have to solve. I like the resolution. I thought it was like it got a decent amount of attention, and in the end, you're like, oh, that's kind of clever. I will say I sort of saw it coming because I figured that the show would go into that direction. So when it came, I was like, that makes a lot of sense to me, and I expected it. So those are all the things I like. There are a few things I didn't love about the show, and they're very small. I think they're minor gripes overall. Firstly, I there's like three teenagers, Emily's kids or Ted Danson's grandkids, and they're there, but I'm not sure what we're supposed to feel about them because they're kind of like whiny and a little annoying, and I think a couple of them are teenagers. And if you've watched a lot of these shows, there's always this trope of teenagers are monsters and they're the worst thing in the world, and this show goes into that as teenagers are like annoying and rude, and it's you watch and you're like, why are they there? They add nothing. They're a bit of a slog to watch when they're on screen. I'm not blaming anyone, like any of the actors. Of course, this is their job, but you think we could probably cut all the scenes that deal with Emily and her home life, and nothing really changes. That's just how it is. So it comes up, and you're like, oh, great. Here's like 4 minutes of a scene that really merits nothing in the end. So I didn't like that. I didn't like that part. Um, and there's another thing. This one will be a bit more personal, but you know, it's what I consider a point that's on the bad almost. Is that shows like these are so sweet and heartwarming and full of empathy that I almost get diabetes watching it. You're like, it's so it's also good and nice and lovely. And even the place they stay is like a like 6-star resort or something. And you watch this and you're like, this doesn't seem like this is how real life is most of the time. People aren't always like this. There's a little bit more gray. There's a little bit more like things like that. And there's like a smidgen of that in this show, but I would have liked a more nuance rather than everyone's just lovey-dovey and happy and good and welcoming and nice. And for me, I prefer shows that are at least slightly more gray. You know, just a tiny bit. It was too much. It was a bit too much sweetness for me. I don't think that for a lot of people this might be perfect, but for me personally, going into this, I was hoping for a little bit more nuance, and that doesn't really have it. But overall, for the whole show, the best word I could use to describe, if I had to describe the show with one word, it's inoffensive. This is an inoffensive show. There is nothing like political, religious, anything like that. It's very like anyone can watch this show. If you were in a group and it's like included, your grandma, her best friend, your cousin, her mom, or something like that, and you have to pick a show that everyone can watch and enjoy, this is the show. This is 80% of people are gonna like it. I don't know how many people will love it though, because it's a good show, but as we mentioned, it's not great. It's not like anyone's favorite. It's just very solid. I enjoyed my time. I don't think it's not a show and I'll be like, oh, I'll watch it again. I'll recommend it to like my mom. I'll be like, hey, are you bored? Here's a show you might like. Might have themes that you resonate with. But and that's not negative, by the way. A show that's 7 out of 10 is still very enjoyable. It's just not like, go watch it now. Go, you have to see it now. It's not, oh, it's the most amazing show you've ever seen. It's not any of that. It's good, it's solid, it's very enjoyable, but you watch it and then you'll move on. And I think that's kind of it, really. So, that's my thoughts of Man on the Inside. Hope you enjoyed this review.